want.
Okay. I think it's on PDF. I have to go on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. It's a conference on incubation, and I guess incubation and chick quality, and I guess I am the first speaker on incubation. So I will cover a number of topics, or briefly touch a number of topics, like what happens with the eggs when you take it from the nest and you start incubation, or how to store incubating eggs, or how do we define chick quality, or what can we do with incubation temperature. These are all topics that will further be covered by other speakers like Dr. Wijnland, Dr. Brambell today and tomorrow, Dr. Meyerhoff tomorrow, so I can introduce the topic to you. And also, the talk I prepared, since I didn't know all this, I prepared a quite long talk with a lot of slides, but I have to keep within the time of 3/4 of an hour, Mr. Chairman, so I will try to do that, and I will skip some slides because parts of it will be covered by others later at this conference. But since I can start, I would... Is that okay? Okay. I would like to start with one question. If I look around in literature, then I find out that the last decade or the last 15 years, there is much more research on incubation than in the 50 years before. Why is that? Why there is so much interest nowadays for incubation research in comparison with 20 or 30 years ago? And I think there are a number of reasons. And it is, for me, important to go through some of these reasons together with you. And I think one of them, we know, is that the size of incubators has increased a lot. And with the increase in size of incubators, we have also an increase in the variability of conditions. We all know that in a very small incubator, it's much easier to keep a constant temperature than if you have a very big incubator. And the question is, there is a variability, but how much variability can we tolerate within an incubator? And when I talk variability within an incubator, I will mostly focus on single-stage incubators, since in Europe, most of the work and most in practice, as well as in the research, is done on single-stage incubators. And I think we are moving a little bit more in that direction. So the first question, what is the tolerance zone of the measured variables that may fluctuate during development? How much variation can we tolerate? A second constatation is that physical conditions, they have an optimum that may differ according to the developmental or incubation stage of each of these physical parameters. That is something we can take into account in single-stage incubations. In multiple-stage incubations, you have to keep the conditions all the time all the same. In a single stage, you can give variation, yes? But if you give variation in physical conditions, like temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, and others, what is the optimum of all these factors, and at what stage of incubation? Why these new questions? Because now we are able to measure these very more in a fine way due to new sensor developments. We are allowed to have a finer tuning. That's one. And secondly, we can more or less regulate these factors independently from each other. A third question is that physical conditions during incubation, they were and still are set in order to have and to obtain a maximal hatchability. But it may be questioned if that is enough. Is it enough? Are we satisfied with maximal hatchability? Or do we also want to have not just a high hatchability, but a high chick quality? And do they go together or not? It is a question that will be covered also by others during these days, and I come to that as well. Number 4 of the reasons that for me are reasons that we are focusing more on incubation research the last decade. Incubation